You know, they say every founder's story starts with a problem. But for me, as a principal architect, that problem wasn't some grand idea for a new feature. It was this deep, persistent anxiety that lived inside our logs. So how did that constant nagging fear become the foundation for a whole new kind of tool? Let's get into the story of Cerbi.
Look, for any architect, logs are your lifeline. I mean, they're how you debug, how you see into the very soul of your system. But for me, they were also becoming my biggest source of stress. They felt like a ticking time bomb of compliance risk and just completely runaway costs.
I'm not exaggerating when I say I lived with this constant dread. With every single new feature, every new developer joining the team, all I saw was another chance for a password, or a social security number, or some other PII to accidentally slip into a structured log. It felt absolutely inevitable, kind of like watching a slow-motion car crash that I was powerless to prevent. And, this wasn't just some technical nightmare for me to worry about. It was a huge business problem. We were paying a fortune to ship and store terabytes of data that, honestly, we were terrified of. Think about that. We were paying to archive our own evidence for a data breach that hadn't even happened yet. The whole system just felt fundamentally broken. So my first instinct, like a lot of engineers, was, it was wrong. I thought, I'll just build a better logger. But after so many late nights hunched over the keyboard, I had this moment of real clarity. The world absolutely did not need another logger. It needed a safety net.
And this is where the problem really came into sharp focus for me. The tools we have, Serilog, NLog, OpenTelemetry, they're amazing. I mean, they're incredible at transport, just experts at getting data from point A to point B super fast. But they all operate on one simple thing: trust. They trust you not to give them sensitive data. The gap wasn't in the transport, it was in enforcement, before that data ever had a chance to leave the application.
So that led to the core idea. Instead of trying to replace the logger, what if we just wrapped it? What if we created a governance layer that acts like a checkpoint right there inside the application? A simple little JSON file, serbigovernance.json, could define the rules of the road for every single log event. And right there, in that moment, that was the birth of CerbiStream.
But pretty quickly, even checking things at runtime felt a little late. I mean, the real win, the real victory, would be to stop bad code from ever being written in the first place. So that's what we did. We built static code analyzers, tools that plug right into a developer's IDE to flag potential PII leaks at compile time. We were shifting the entire problem left, turning what would have been a production fire drill into a simple build warning.
And this was a huge step forward, for sure. We had rules, we had enforcement at runtime and in the IDE. But a simple pass or fail, it just didn't capture the whole picture. Come on, not all violations are created equal, right? A missing correlation ID is a problem, yeah, but it's not the same level of crisis as leaking a password into a log.
This one question, man, it changed everything. It completely reframed the challenge. Suddenly, it wasn't just about blocking bad logs anymore. It was about quantifying the risk of our entire observability pipeline. How could we actually prove with a real number that we were getting safer over time?
And that question led directly to the log governance score. Instead of a simple pass-fail, we built a weighted system. Leaking a field that's marked forbidden, that's a huge penalty. Missing a required field has a lower one. And all of a sudden, compliance was no longer this abstract goal. It was a concrete metric you could track, you could trend, and you could actually improve.
This whole scoring concept became the spine of the entire ecosystem. We created this single, really lightweight library called cerbi.governance.core. It defines the shared language for all the rules, for redaction, and most importantly, for scoring. This one contract is the glue that connects the runtime enforcer, the compile time analyzer, and all the dashboards. It's our source of truth.
So once we had that central spine in place, the vision it exploded. This wasn't just about a library anymore. It was the foundation for a full suite of tools, all speaking the exact same language of governance and scoring. You can see how the whole ecosystem built out so logically. It started with CerbiStream, the enforcer that runs in your process. Then came the analyzers for the IDE. The core logic got pulled out into its own validation engine. And all this data, all these scores, they needed a command center, a place to define the rules and actually see the results. And that's exactly what became CerbiShield.
So the vision for the suite became crystal clear. We decided we would keep the developer tools, the enforcers and analyzers, totally free and open source. We want to empower engineers on the ground. Then we'd monetize the central command and control plane, CerbiShield for management, and down the road, CerbIQ for intelligent routing and CerbiSense for ML-driven analytics.
And this is why it all matters. We're building this for every team out there that's struggling under the pressure of GDPR, HIPAA, or SOC 2. For every architect who's just trying to manage a chaotic multi-cloud environment. We're trying to turn that source of constant fear back into a source of real insight.
Which, brings us full circle. From that initial gnawing anxiety of not knowing what was lurking in our logs to a whole new mission, helping every developer and every architect out there learn to trust their telemetry data again.
This phrase really captures our entire philosophy. We are not trying to be a gatekeeper that slows you down. Cerbi is a guardrail. It runs inside your tenant, inside your process, and it provides a safety net that lets your teams move fast without breaking compliance and without being afraid of what they log.
Ultimately, we truly believe this is the future. Observability has to be governed. With an auditable score, you can actually prove your compliance. By controlling what goes out the door, you can finally tame those costs. It gives developers the confidence to ship, knowing that safety net is there. It creates a layer of truth over all your telemetry.
So yeah, we started with fear, but we ended with a question that drives every single thing we do now. What if that constant, low-level anxiety that so many of us feel just went away? What if you could finally, completely trust your logs?